Thank you, DJ. That's awesome. Okay, so this is fun. I can barely see you guys. Thank you for that poem. I'm just like, you know when people get up here and they do stuff that like you feel like should be done, but like you didn't know how to do it, and then they just did it? That's what just happened to me, okay? So thank you. So I have to tell a story before I read my poem because I just had one of those experiences in life where you don't really know what kind of train just hit you. My little sister, she's 22, she's so young. Okay, if you're 22 or younger, you're really young to me. Okay, don't even ask. So she just had a baby. She squeezed a 6.5 pound thing out of her V-hole. Like, how did that just happen? So I've already had nephews. I have 4 nephews. I did not see them get delivered. I did not want to see them be delivered. And my older sister is way more of a Bia than my younger sister, so I definitely didn't want to be in that room when she was having babies. So I just let her kind of go, and I was like, I don't want to be scarred for life. I don't want to be in the operating room, like, or whatever, maternity ward. I was freaked out when I was younger when my nephews came, but this time around, because I take photographs sometimes, my little sister was like, I need you to take pictures. I need you to do it. I'm like, that's so gross. What if people see? What if it ends up on the internet and people are like looking at your junk? And she's like, no, I need you to do it. So I was really reluctant at first, but I got over my fear and I was like, fine, I'll be up in your V-hole. It's fine. It's for you and your baby. I'm sure she's gonna love those pictures one day. So I went 90 miles an hour on Forest Hill trying to get to the hospital room because she went from 2 centimeters in diameter, and guys, I'm sorry, this is so graphic, but she went from a little pie hole to like a big one in like 20 minutes. So I literally had to go 90 miles an hour or I was gonna miss this. So I went 90 miles an hour in Wellington Regional. Nobody would let me go through the median. I was ushering the cars, like, come on, people. I'm like sticking my head out the window, like, I have a baby to take pictures of. They didn't know what I was talking about. I was this crazy woman on the road. So I finally get to the hospital and the nurse isn't letting me in. She thinks I'm weird because I have a camera and I'm trying to, I know, I thought I was weird too, but my sister wanted this. So I was like, please let me in. They finally let me in. And the things coming out of that room were traumatizing. I mean, I didn't want to go in, but because I gave my sister my word, I like reluctantly like stepped in while she was like, ah! And I'm like, please, God, no, my sister's dying. And I'm in there with the camera, and I'm super scared because that's not my sister. She doesn't scream. And they didn't give her the epidural, which numbs your whole body, so, because it happened so fast, so she's literally on the bed dying, and I'm taking pictures of it. So I was really traumatized, but after all the gore and the craziness and the blood-curdling screams, there comes this little furry ball head-like thing coming out, and I had this like spiritual moment, you know guys, like when you're in the middle of something really traumatizing and then you realize it's the most beautiful thing you could possibly witness in your entire life. And I didn't know what to think because part of my spirit was like, my sister's dying. And the other part of my spirit was like, oh my God, this is like a horror movie, oh. And then the other part of my spirit was like, oh my gosh, there's like a life coming out of her body. And this is a miracle. It's a stinking miracle. So I was already like high from that, right? And so they take the baby and the baby is beautiful. She's blue. I mean, why? But she's beautiful. Like blue's a pretty color, right? So you're looking at this baby crying and they take her to the table and the nurse is freaking out at me because I'm like with the camera all up in her grill. She's like, just step away so we can measure the baby. I'm like, okay. So I watched them measure the baby and weigh the baby, and then the baby's crying, and I just had a moment with my niece, like, I know, it sucks being on the outside, right? Like I was talking to her, like she can hear me and understand me. I know, it's so hard out here. Gosh, can we just stay inside for all eternity? Like, it's so much easier in the womb, right? So I'm trying to like have a moment with my niece, and the nurse just looked at me in her condescending way, because she's like a Nazi nurse, whatever. She's like, the baby needs to cry because her lungs have fluid in it. And I had another spiritual moment, right? Like, oh my God, that's so poetic. This is beautiful. Yeah, cry. Cry, niece. I'm gonna cry with you. I need fluid out of my lungs. And isn't it the truth? Like, we try to prevent suffering, and we try to get out of like the crap in our life, and we look at bad situations and we're like, this sucks. And then like, the real truth of the matter is we need to go through suffering because there's stuff that needs to get out of us. So with that, I want to read you guys a poem about my mom, because I was once inside of her womb. Her birthday is Sunday, so happy birthday, Mom. This was a long time ago I wrote this, I'm sorry. It's just kind of kid-like. The American Lung Association did a presentation for my grade 5's health awareness education. They lit up the butt for the dummy's mouth, and as the straw would suck down the plumes, we saw the stirring of smoke, while my smart-ass classmates faked a choke. The tissue turned black in the sac below where the lungs in the human body would go, and I watched in dismay when I heard the video say, "Even secondhand smoke can send sickness your way." Well, when my mom picked me up that day from class, I looked at her with concern and sass. "Mommy, will you please quit those cigarettes? Because cancer will come and you'll live in regret. And just so you know, I could die from it too, and that would be something you'll never forget." She smiled, and with a winding window pane and a sarcastic voice of disdain, she said, "It hasn't killed me yet." The next 3 years, I watched her dainty hands hold cancer sticks perched between elegant fingertips, the graceful draw of lips, a puckered, pretty kiss, and blow, the rise of foggy lines, a dancing, burning mist. I also watched the walls turn yellow, and my homework papers tracked the smell that, when my teacher collected them, I knew that she could tell. I watched the lines in my mommy's mouth grow more defined, and the harping and nagging of my judgmental mind blew out my mouth, polluting the air, and I would wave the stench beneath my nose, and I would let her know the next 3 years all of my carcinogenic fears. And then the cancer came. It took a toll on her tiny little body and blew its smoke in my face. After each passing day, the smell of death on my clothes just wouldn't go away. Depression clouded the room, and the morphine dripped like tar into the bloodstream of my mother, my shining star, slowly burning out until her brittle bones were seen, a former beauty queen still glowing, smoldering like ashes for love unseen. There came a time when she nodded in and out of slumber with her morphine-friended fingers drooping down to threaten the sofa with blazing fire. I had to keep her from drowning in her drug-induced sleep. "Mom, wake up!" There came a time when she lay cozy in her hospice bed in the middle of our living room. Before I went to school that day, I gently kissed her head. "Mom, wake up." "Good morning, my angel," she said. "I'm going to quit smoking today." "You don't have to. Not for me." But she did. That day, she breathed her last breath here on earth. And though I was not there to inhale with her that heavenly air, I exhaled a grievous cry for all the times I ever criticized. You see, later I realized that cervical cancer is not caused from smoking. No, death can choose any time to materialize. And although some things can move fatality fast, all of our times will slowly but surely arrive. Yeah, you can still die from smoking. But, Mom, if I could die slowly, every day with you I would, if it meant having you alive. Thank you.